Wait, so Manhattan Fish Market is not from Manhattan?
No, it's not. It's created in Singapore and Malaysia. So I think a lot of Malaysian, not just Malaysian brand, I think a lot of brands internationally wanted to come into Singapore. It's because this is a very international market. It's very hard for us now these few years to see that we can find master franchise in any countries because this may not be the right formula anymore. I might as well give them a single unit to test out. For both parties, it's a win-win situation, but there's a duration or time exclusive timing for you to test out. And after that, we talk about it. Are you going further to develop further? If not, then thank you so much. You keep this outlet, but we will find the real master. Malaysia Halal certification is also a well-known certification, just like MUIS in Singapore. But Malaysia JAKIM is very well-known in terms of like if you say you are a brand, Malaysia brand F&B, and you want to go into Middle East, it's easily recognizable and it's endorsed, right?
Okay, welcome back to the TFC Business Show. This is the last panel. So if you've stayed through, great, good on you. But I think the last panel is probably the most important panel of the day. And I'm joined with...
Deric, I'm Deric.
Yeah, I mean, more than Deric, right?
Okay.
Introduce yourself. Yes.
Well, I'm Deric from the Malaysian Franchise Association, and I'm the Secretary General of the associations.
So what does the association do?
We are the association that actually helps the franchise industry in Malaysia or even overseas brand that register as our members. And we are the bridge between the government who governs the franchise act. We have a Franchise Act 1998 in Malaysia, and also a bridge to the industry players. As an association, we do a lot of trainings, guidance, trade missions like this. In Singapore, we brought in 8 brands this year.
You have a very big booth
in the Malaysia pavilion. Yes, very big in front of the pavilion there, and in the hall there. And we do a lot of like coaching and also a lot of engagement to bring in to bring the brands from Malaysia or overseas well known to the public in Malaysia, so that they can have opportunity to become an entrepreneur or businessman. Yeah.
And you did say that your event is much bigger.
Well, in terms of the size of country, definitely we need to be as sizable as a country, right? So it's definitely bigger.
When would that be happening?
That will happen in May next year, always in May. Next year, May 20th to 22nd in KLCC.
Okay, so if you're interested, May 20th to 22nd, KLCC, the expo is 3 times bigger, right? So a lot more brands, a lot more interesting things to look at, right? And all like just more than here. But yeah, maybe before we discuss a little bit about the mechanics, right? How about I get to know you a little bit better? Have you done some franchises? You know,
yes.
What strikes do you get to be the chairman, Secretary General?
Well, I've been always in the retail and F&B industries. I have helped many brands, including brands like Manhattan Fish Market, bringing those brands into international scene. Manhattan is actually a Malaysia-Singapore brand, so I have actually opened it up to 15 other countries outside Malaysia, Singapore. During that peak period.
Wait,
time.
so Manhattan Fish Market is not from Manhattan?
No, it's not. It's created in Singapore and Malaysia. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fair. So any other interesting things that you've done?
My first half of my career is actually in HR. I'm a HR person, training person, and then I actually do a career change during mid of my career, midlife. So then I do business development until now. So now I'm actually doing a lot of consultancy because I'm now taking a career break, doing a lot of consultation to a lot of brands, and I'm also doing my DBA now.
Yeah, great. So maybe let's use it as a platform to talk about some of the interesting Malaysian brands that you're working with that you think our Singaporean audience should know. I think I don't know if it's still true, but I think a lot of Malaysian companies want to make the Sing dollar. They want to come into the market, right?
Well,
so help me understand what is interesting.
So I think a lot of Malaysian, not just Malaysian brand, I think a lot of brands internationally wanted to come into Singapore, probably because I think it's because this is a very international market. So to make a presence felt, international scene, if you start in Singapore, that will really make a first steps for them to go international. So, but if they want to open for example, for Malaysia brand to come in and duplicate as many as in Malaysia, that's a bit tough because
Yeah.
the size is already a limitation there.
Yeah, yeah.
So which is why I think this is a good branding platform, a country that has got good branding and good reputation as international scene. So that's why it is important to set up a company or a brand presence here in Singapore. And then, of course, if a good strategy comes by, it is always to then expand back into Malaysia, where then you can have a duplication of a sizable number of outlets happening there.
Yeah, fair. So that is how you will advise a lot of Malaysian franchises.
Yeah, because a lot of brands thought that if you want to go into, especially F&B brands, they were thought that if you want to go into Malaysia, you definitely need to have a halal certificate to be present there. But
Is it
actually
true?
it's not really true. It's actually now options for you. But of course, if you can have halal, there's an added advantage because 70% of the population are Muslims there. So you can actually cater to most of the populations in Malaysia. It's like bigger market. Yeah.
Okay, fair. What about the non-F&B? Because every time people think
Right.
of
Franchise is just
it's
F&B.
F&B. There's more, right? Yeah. What?
The other sectors that is very big in terms of franchising in Malaysia is Malaysia brands are education brands. I think enrichment centers or kids preschools or art schools is very, very good in Malaysia. They have a lot of brands there, and there are brands that have opened 20 over countries. For example, Global Arts are in everywhere. Even in Singapore, they have a lot of presence here. Smart Readers. Today we brought in, this time around we brought in QDs, and QDs is here. We have a lot of other good brands also. And in fact, in Singapore, there are also Singapore brands in Malaysia, which is like Matt's Monkey. Is that the Matt's Monkey brand, right? Also doing well there in Malaysia. That is in education sectors.
So it's a Chinese people thing lah. I go to, because I live in KL, right?
Right.
So there are certain hotspots, right? Like your Subang, your Cheras, PJ, right? A lot of Chinese people. The enrichment center is like the whole area, you know?
The same row, you have different types. The parents,
story.
The parents will just send to 1 hour, then they'll come back like 6 hours later.
Yeah. So that is the kind of enrichment mechanics there. Help our Singapore brands or like potential Singapore franchisees understand the enrichment market in Malaysia.
I think in Malaysia, parents, regardless of what kind of category of parents or different races, I think education or educating the next generation is something that they are willing to spend money. I mean, because besides they don't have time to take care of them, right? Because both of the parents are working. So one of the way to put their kids in a safer place is to send them into an enrichment center. I think that's a double up kind of effort to let them learn and also to put them somewhere to have somebody to take care of them. I mean, the brands can also do that. Singapore brand that can do that. I think that is something that very helpful for the parents over there. So if you name it in terms of arts education, language education, maths, everything is there. Probably something new that is still very beginning in Malaysia is those like AI, technology, robotic, programming, something very new. There are some, but not many. But if some Singapore brand that is already doing that can go into that, I think it will be very good as well. I know there's a Singapore brand that's doing like kids like kids gym, things like that. I think there's something quite new there also, can also be very helpful to go into the market, to give more choices for the parents there. Whatever you give there, I think the parents were willing to invest.
Is it to dig a little bit deeper into that, right? Is it in some ways tied to the public school, timetable? Because like in Singapore, like the enrichment class start at a certain time because public school end at a certain time. Like is there a certain mechanics over in Malaysia that we need to be more aware of?
Yeah, previously I think the Malaysia public school will probably end like 1 in the afternoon,
It's
1
quite
p.m.
early, right?
Then now no more. But that's my time. Right?
I cannot say too much.
That was many years. I think now it's not like that. I think it's that it dragged until like 3 o'clock. I know 3-4 o'clock. I think so that they probably then will go back home or even straight away go to a daycare, and then they will start do homework and then take a nap and do something else and learn. Probably nighttime, evening time, then they will go for certain classes, certain other classes, But weekend definitely will be a time that they will spend times for other activities, like example, learning tennis, golfing, things like that.
So this, when you share it, right, it sounds very much like a KL life, very like Penang, maybe some parts of Johor is like that, but Malaysia is huge. There are many other places, right? So for Singapore business that's looking to enter, other than these spaces, maybe you can kind of help us understand like how does the dynamics then change as we move into other states?
I think if you talk about in terms of franchising's angle or how to get franchising business works in Malaysia, I think first thing first, we cannot do direct conversion in terms of package deal or even fees. Example, now here they collect like $100 per month or whatever, right? You can't like convert into 300 ringgit per month.
Yeah.
So I think that will not work. I think the maths won't work like that. So different market will have different benchmark. So brands, I'm sure Singapore brands are well prepared if they want to go into Malaysian market. But then if they are thinking like I want to get the same return as in Sing dollar kind of speed, probably then they will have to really tweak a bit of that thinking.
Of course, of course.
It will be slower, but then it is a bigger market. Right here is faster because it's smaller market, but then there you can have multiple units more than Singapore, so you can actually earn back the same thing.
It's true. I think Singapore businesses that are quite serious have kind of really moved past that, right? They have a general understanding already, but what I'm trying to push is like, other than in KL, right, which is a very city dynamics, there are all these other like states that also have a thriving population there. That I think when Singapore brands think of like entering Malaysia, they don't think of, oh, we're gonna open Ipoh, we're gonna open in Kedah, But is there market in these spaces? How does it look like? Less competition, maybe better? Like, just trying to understand from your point of view.
If you're talking about F&B per se, there are less choices in those small towns or suburban towns, right? So if you open any brands there or quite popular brand in KL probably, then you suddenly go into Kedah or Perlis or Kelantan, then they will welcome it very much. Because that is something that they have to go down all the way to KL to enjoy, but now it's there.
Yeah.
But then of course we can't like suddenly, because of that, you open a lot more in the same town. So you have to understand that the dynamic of how many is needed that in that town only, right? So that is something that they should be aware of lah. Just like education, but education is different. Education they goes by the number of enrollment or number of students per class. So then that they need to do a little bit of maths or understanding like how many students are there in that population, that area, then how many classes or how many centers do they need. Yeah, it's quite different from F&B.
Yeah. Fair. I mean, I just want to repeat the story that I shared, right? I have a friend who opened up a Taiwanese dessert brand in Muar, right? And then everybody goes to that place, right? The whole Muar town goes to that particular Taiwanese dessert store, and only one. Right, and you cannot open the next one because the market is only that big. Correct. But you become the place to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you open second one, may not be that case anymore, probably.
Exactly. Very interesting market. How about we move the conversation a little bit into Malaysia brands trying to come into Singapore, right? Entering into the market. I know today you can only bring 8 brands, right? But you have a much bigger pool of brands that can come in. So what are some interesting things or interesting brands that you would like to do a shout out for? What do they do, and how can we partner them?
I think we have 9 brands there. One is on their bigger booth, which is US Pizza.
US Pizza is it's not from US. It's a Malaysian brand.
So US Pizza is one of the pizza brand, but then in terms of varieties, they have a lot of flavors that is very Malaysian and Singapore.
I think they
flavors.
Move quite fast. Over the past few years, they are everywhere already.
So again, this kind of brands or F&B is no longer a traditional way of restaurants management kind of things lah. It's all a lot more on digital, how they digitalize it. The digital marketing, the social media and digital platform is playing a big role on that. So you may not see that kind of marketing everywhere on your Facebook. Probably we are not the target audience anymore, right? That will appear in those younger generations. So things like that. So I think that is something that a lot of marketeers need to learn, because if you are not learning that kind of digital marketing platform, then you probably are outdated already, right? So those are the brands, newer brands that has focusing more on marketing. And I think I just came back from Bedok, the shop there, US Pizza shop. It was full house. A small shop, but full house, and the delivery guys keep on in and out, in and out. So I think that is one of the brands that need to we can look out in Singapore or grow. Not, as I said, you won't grow as many as Malaysia, but probably 10, 15 will be a sizable numbers in Singapore.
That's most of the same store pick.
Yeah. The other brands that is quite got a lot of feedback these few days is actually Iris Pro. Iris Pro is actually a brand that do tinted film. So for your car, for your window at home, in your home, right? So this is something. It's a new franchise industry. It has been there in the market, but doing franchise is something new. And then I think
to be clear, is that licensing or is it franchising? So the whole system I have to buy as a standard,
especially
on this
the products.
Okay,
the
okay.
film, yeah.
Everyone knows Mary Brown. Mary Brown don't need to introduce her. Yeah. Yeah, talking about single unit franchise, right? Because we are so close, right? So how often is it that a Malaysian brand will give me a master franchise? And how does that work? Because a single unit franchise and there's a different dynamics, right? So help us understand a little bit more.
Okay, I mean, if there's anybody who wish to have a master license, definitely it's very welcoming to give it to them. But then when you say it's a master, meaning you are getting the whole rights of the territory,
whole land,
right?
Yeah.
Which then means that person have to pay a lot to own that, right? So, but then it's very hard for us now these few years to see that we can find master franchise in any countries because there are too many choices, first of all. And then the amount that you want them to commit is big and huge. And for brand owner also, we thought that this may not be the right formula anymore. I might as well give them a single unit to test out. For both parties, it's a win-win situation, but there's a duration or time, exclusive timing for you to test out. And after that, we talk about it. Are you going further to develop further? If not, then thank you so much. You keep this outlet, but we will find the real master. But you have helped me to market the first outlet for 1 year, example. So that's how I think I have advised a lot of companies to do that as well. It's easier, right? If you want to penetrate the market, then it's faster. Of course, you won't get the first initial fees that you wanted so much, but then I think the recurring fees is more important. Right, to make it right, recurring is more important than collecting the first initial big payment, but then they can't sustain the business and they have to commit to 50 outlets, and where do I open the 50 outlets, right? Things like that.
Okay, fair. So the mechanics have changed essentially.
They have changed. I will have to evolve. Alongside how the situation of the economy of different countries, right? And if you know that, for example, Maldives, right, so small. And you expect them to open 10, I want minimum. Then how can that be, right?
Sorry.
Things like that, right? So it really have to do a lot of market studies and research before you even come to this show.
So what are you telling your Malaysia brands about Singapore then?
So before they came to Singapore, we always have a briefing to tell them about the market, a different market. For example, Singapore market, how does it look like? Of course, they will know a little bit, or they have done their own survey or research, but we as an association, we will play that part as well to tell them. We even invite our MATRID, meaning the Malaysia Trade Officer that's stationed here, to let them know a little bit more the updated situation of the country.
So what is the updated situation at this point? Help us understand a little bit. How does a Malaysian brand look at Singapore today?
Competition is great, but then of course the cost of doing business here because of the currency exchange, right? So it's equally challenging unless you really find someone who is really interested to take on your brands here. But then in terms of F&B, of course, the food cost, the cost of goods sold, if it is coming from Malaysia, definitely is still affordable because the products are from Malaysia. Right, so
Malaysia grows a lot of things, so it's a lot easier.
Right.
The supply chain is shorter.
But this round, we actually brought in the 8 are all different industry.
Yeah, I saw different. It's not just makan.
Yeah, it's not just makan, only Mary Brown. So they need to understand they cannot use the same package. How they sell the franchise in Malaysia, they have to create a tailored customize a package that is suitable for this market.
So what about Singaporeans trying to open up in Malaysia?
Actually,
Malaysia
there's a
franchise
good opportunity in Malaysia as long as they are ready to go in and then they find the right a local partner, as in partner as franchisee, or a local, not say consultant, but someone that knows the market well and can advise them correctly. A good real estate person that can help them to find the right location suitable for that kind of brand positioning, then they will do well. But don't think too much about how much return on investment that they can do before they even start the first recruitment or the right talent search of a franchisee.
Of course.
Yeah, because that plays a very important journey later on.
Of course.
That you are handing over that brand to this person.
Help me elaborate a bit more on the state of Malaysia then, at this point in time, in terms of from an economic, how should we look at it, and what are the interesting areas? Like maybe like Johor is like booming town, right? And it's like, I mean JB specifically, right? And you see all these businesses popping up. So like, help us understand like where are the hot spots, what is interesting from a franchise business standpoint.
To fight for a location is not easy. If you are a coffee brand that you want to go into Malaysia, any malls, the mall leasing will tell you, oh sorry, I have 10 other coffee brands inside.
And they're all doing very well.
You have to queue, you have to wait, right? So depends on the business model or business decision planning. Then going into suburban area is also possible, but the logistic, you need to plan your logistic, how to support them after that opening. But because Malaysia is not big, but it's very scattered, right? So from KL to go to East Coast, Kelantan, Terengganu, it takes a great effort to go there. And then going to Penang is different, things like that. So need to plan the plotting of your location. How do you want? Do you want to open 5 first year? Or how big you want to grow and how fast? Then probably if they come and talk to me, I will tell them what to do.
Without getting cancelled, because Sabah, Sarawak, we cannot forget, right? What about there?
Even Malaysian brand who wants to open in or operating in Sabah, Sarawak
also feels a bit difficult, right?
We treat it as like another country.
Really?
As well.
Okay. Tell me more from an operational standpoint, right?
In terms of operational, because if the supply chain itself, yes, it can go over, but then also you have to take flight or take the ship, right? I mean the shipping side. Then a lot of time we say franchising is about we control only on proprietary item, for example in F&B, but the rest of the items you can find locally. But the one that we say you can find locally, that is a challenge, because the local sometimes will have no stock, no supply, cannot support. That's a problem. It's not about the proprietary item. Proprietary, no problem from the brand owner, right? They will of course supply over. It's just that the cost of shipping is expensive or the process is long. But then sometimes it is the local sourcing part that is a challenge. And sometimes in Kota Kinabalu, you go to another town which is so far away and the logistics are a problem. So I think the challenge is there. So the consistency of product availability may be a challenge sometimes in terms of F&B.
So even peninsular brands struggle
not just
to
international brand.
Go over.
Yes,
interesting. But does that pose an opportunity? Is that like a...
Yes,
what do you think?
You are very confident that 2 states, Sarawak and Sabah, is going to give you a sizable number of outlets there, you have to like really make a decision to set up a small central warehouse, central kitchen, so that you don't
that's
have
the commitment level.
Yeah, so that you don't have this problem in the long run.
Okay, fair.
So that's probably one of the ways to go about it. Or you have to partner a local manufacturing or production center to say that I give you the rights to produce this, and you help me to manage.
But that massively moves up the capex, right? And then affects the risk profile of the investment.
Correct, of course.
Okay, I understand. What about non-F&B?
Non-F&B is quite easy. I think education, brand retail services, they can easily go into that market, and then the market is still very big. Malaysia government is now also focusing a lot on that 2 states, and that local states is also doing a lot of activities. For example, next week, in fact, the Malaysia brands are going to Sabah for another franchise show.
Nice.
So that will have more than 15 brands going over. To cater for that market. So
any insights into that market? What is interesting about it? The wage, the market dynamics.
Last time when we wanted to open Manhattan Fish Market there, for example, many years ago, Manila Fish Market is seafood, right? So we know Sabah is known for
Seafood lah.
Seafood.
Yeah, the market is huge. The seafood market is huge.
So then the understanding is that, oh, okay, probably a little bit tough, right? But then there is a live fish. This is actually a fresh fish, but it's frozen, right? So the awareness building, the education is still something that you need to be aware of lah. So when you want to do a comparison, then you have to don't just think of that they are really like still at that time you're thinking of that country. Probably you know Sabah for quite a while ago, but they have moved a lot. And last time when Peninsular brand wanted to have labor issue, they will then recruit from Sabah, Sarawak, right? Bring them in. But now they don't want to. They don't need to come to Peninsula anymore. They can have enough employment opportunity there.
It's true.
So
it's
which
true.
shows that the economy is also growing
I have
there.
teammates in Sabah,
Yeah.
Sarawak, remote.
Yes.
They're all doing great work. They
Correct.
don't need to fly to Peninsula
In
anymore.
fact,
Do it in your home.
Sabah's cost of living is also very high. Quite higher than Klang Valley, certain areas.
So maybe in closing, right, I think you can share with us a little bit more on like some of the interesting economic trends across Malaysia for Singapore businesses that don't really know lah, right? Like let's say there's the Johor, special economic zone. I don't know if you have some insights into it because haven't really come out. There's some of these like commercial belts that are being developed across the board. Just kind of educate us a little bit of what is potential.
Malaysia Halal certification is also a well-known certification, just like MUIS in Singapore. But Malaysia JAKIM is very well known in terms of like if you say you are a brand, Malaysia brand F&B and you want to go into Middle East, it's easily recognizable and it's endorsed, right? So that's why Malaysia government is doing a lot of a few area which is called a area to develop halal products. So whichever company that I'm not sure whether international company, I'm sure it's applicable that if you want to set up a production center or manufacturing for F&B products, halal category, that is a fund or grant to set up in that zone.
Wow, okay,
there are a few zones there in Malaysia to cater for that needs.
Wow.
So in Malaysia, I think if you wish to go into halal, yes, it's very advisable, but then you know that there are a lot of steps to maintain and to sustain.
In what sense?
Applying for halal is okay. You need to apply to get the halal, the sticker halal, you're halal certified. But every year you need to renew. Every employee you need to go for training in and out. You need to go for your auditor need to go get audited to get certified to audit your outlets.
Oh, my auditor need to be audited.
Yes.
To be able to audit me.
To audit all your stores. I have my audited. I have a halal auditor.
Halal auditor.
So and then we have to maintain that every shops. For example, the kitchen need to have 2 Muslims crew. So to comply to the regulations of the act of halal. So but then it is not compulsory yet, and it's not compulsory at the moment, but it is an optional. And halal is not about just halal. It is about the hygiene, cleanliness, the ways of preparing food. So those are the things that when we say it's 清真, right? So even in overseas, there's a lot of countries, even Taiwan started to have 清真restaurants. They encourage all this. In Japan, I opened in Japan before in Manhattan, and we make it halal.
And you start to see a lot more of non-Malay Muslim type of halal food popping out in Malaysia, right? The mee tarik is everywhere now. There's so many more in the Turkish desserts are all in. There's a lot of these things coming into the market.
I think the trend in Malaysia now is actually in terms of F&B again is that the healthier options foods category is increasing a lot in terms of demand. The youngsters, the millennial, or even the very very young one will look at how much is the calorie count, the sugar level. They are very particular on
So
that.
is it like a salad bar, smoothie kind of situation, or where are we in terms of this healthy?
Salad is one, but they even like normal shops, they will tend to ask for less sugar, or they will look at the content of whether that is allergen free or whatever, things like that. So even the Malaysian Ministry of Health is also working on that to see whether how is the acceptance of the public if the menu will indicate calorie count. Yeah, it was done previously in Old Town as a pilot trial. So yeah, it was good received by the public. Yeah.
Great, great. Okay, cool. I think you've shared a lot of good stuff in and out. Any last things you want to add? Shout out for the next event.
Our next event is our Franchise International Malaysia 2025 in Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre, KLCC, the Twin Tower. So it is on May 20th to 22nd. There's also a conference there. You can actually see a lot of international speakers talking about franchising. So come and join us next year.
Yeah, and you will be bringing us over, right? Next year. Okay, Deric Yeo on. Okay, and that's it. That's it for today. After 8 panels, I think I'm quite amazing. So I survived 8 panels today. Thank you for staying with us and hope you enjoy the 3 days of live stream at TFC Business Show. And that's it. Take care. Bye.